Good morning, guys. Hope you're having a good Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend. I'm here in Florida this weekend, so I'm going to be headed back home on Tuesday after the national championship. But just wanted to talk to you guys about my reaction from this weekend for all the playoff games. It was a super wild card mess for me, not a super wild card weekend. Missed all but one. One of my predictions this weekend is definitely a tough one, and hopefully we'll be able to rebound tonight at the national championship game with our picks there. But just kind of wanted to go over some of the games, or all the games actually, from the weekend. I'm going to start with the Colts and the Bills game. Thought the Buffalo Bills, I'll start with them. Thought they played pretty well for the most part. I think you had a little bit of some nerves in there for Josh Allen and company, but they played well and they pulled through. The defense didn't play as well and very easily could have lost this game. I was feeling pretty good about this game late in the fourth quarter or early in the fourth quarter whenever Buffalo goes up 24-10. So I was feeling pretty good, and then of course Indianapolis mounts a comeback and ends up covering the 6 points. So kudos to Indianapolis for playing really well. I thought Phillip Rivers played pretty well for the most part. Obviously their defense had some struggles. I kind of figured it would be nip and tuck on the spread because the spread was 6 points, and of course Indianapolis ends up coming through in the end and covering. So that was unfortunate. Felt like we were in control for much of that game. That didn't necessarily work out. So Buffalo moves on to play some. I don't know exactly who they're playing now. Actually, I'm going to have to take a look at the schedule and see. But they move on in the playoffs. Second game is going to be the LA Rams playing the Seattle Seahawks. This one was a pretty big disappointment for me on the Seahawks part. I really expected the Seahawks to play better, considering that I knew John Wolford, would be, starting toward game time. They made that pretty apparent. I didn't really have a whole lot of confidence in him, and then of course they knocked John Wolford out of the game, and Jared Goff comes in. I really thought Jared Goff would not be able to be effective. I don't think he was overly effective necessarily, but Seattle has shown all year long they can't stop the run, even when they know you're going to run. I guess I probably should have known that, considering that the Giants went up there with Colt McCoy and ran the ball right down their throat and ended up beating them at home. So real disappointing on Seattle's part. They got a lot to do on the defensive end to fix some things. They really need to fix their offensive line on the offensive end as well. I'm not really sure what's happened to this team over the years. They really are struggling. Not really sure where all that cap space is going for the Seahawks, but they definitely need a lot of help in a lot of areas. Russell Wilson didn't play particularly well, although he was under duress a whole lot. So that was definitely a tough one. The Rams came out and played really well. Got to give them credit. Played really well defensively. And then was able to run the ball on the offensive side of the ball, even though the Seahawks knew they were going to probably run the ball more than they were going to throw it, obviously with Jared Goff's thumb and things of that nature going on. So that was pretty disappointing. Lost the under on that one. Ended up being a whole lot more high scoring than I thought it would be because of the turnovers. Of course, Russell Wilson throws a pick six. So that didn't help us at all either. I thought it would be a low-scoring affair. Of course, it wasn't. So, was what it was on that one. That was unfortunate. Then we'll move on to the nightcap. Ended up getting a push in this game. Felt like should have won this game very easily on the spread. Tampa Bay came out. Tom Brady looked really sharp, but his receivers did not. Godwin dropped a ton of passes. I think I counted 5 passes he dropped there, and some of them for pretty large gains in pretty important situations. And then Brady had other receivers dropping passes too. Mike Evans dropped one. You got other guys dropping passes. So it was definitely a challenge there. I expect them to be a lot better moving on in the playoffs here, but that was really disappointing against a Washington team that was starting Tyler Heineke, who actually played pretty well for the most part, but I think that was aided by poor execution as far as on the Tampa Bay side. So not real excited about the way Tampa Bay looked, and I felt like they should have covered very easily. Of course, they did not. Then we'll move on to Sunday. Baltimore, the only game that I actually got right this weekend. They wound up covering. A little bit surprised at how the game flowed. I thought it would be a whole lot more high scoring. Both these defenses are suspect. Didn't take the over in this game, thankfully, but I definitely expect there to be a lot of points scored. Of all the games this weekend, this was the one that I felt the most uncomfortable with because Baltimore tends to have a hard time covering spreads when they're favored because they're such a running football team. They get the lead and they kind of just run the ball and kill the clock. So luckily, Baltimore ends up covering it. They were 3.5 point favorites. They ended up winning by 7. Just got fortunate on that one. I'm glad to see Lamar get a win in the playoffs, and hopefully this gets him going and gets him going in the right direction. Second game yesterday, Chicago Bears against the Saints. Very similar to Tampa in that, you got a lot of drop passes in this game. Chicago absolutely should have covered. The defense came to play. They played their butts off, holding New Orleans down to 21 points. Chicago had a chance to tie the game early. Mitchell Trubisky throws a perfect pass to Wims in the end zone. He drops it. And that's just really seemed to kill the momentum for the Bears for the rest of the game. So, kudos to the Saints defense. I think there may be times to make some changes in Chicago as far as the coach goes, or maybe give him another year, maybe get him an opportunity to get his quarterback in there and see what he can do that way. But real big disappointment there. They certainly should have covered. And then at the end, of course, they score and they don't go for 2 or kick a extra point, which would have caused a push had that happened. So just, bad luck, man. Bad luck. So Saints end up backdoor covering in this game. Probably shouldn't have. But larger questions for Chicago. Now I'll move on to the nightcap. Pittsburgh Steelers are really struggling. They are not very good as far as a football team is concerned. Come out completely flat, which is why I'm 100% against resting your starters. I'm a big Giants fan, as you guys know, and it just reminds me of 2007 when the Giants didn't have anything to play for. They come out and they play hard against the New England Patriots. They, of course, lose the game, but they end up catching a rhythm that end up carrying throughout the playoffs. I think that when your offense is struggling the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is, and Big Ben can go, I think you got to play. I understand that there was some injuries to some of the guys. Obviously, I don't expect you to go out there injured in a meaningless game, but if you're healthy, I think you got to play. And I think they did a poor job all the way around, not going ahead and playing. And I think it cost them. I think that's why they got down 28-0 to the Browns and got in a hole. They finally did catch a rhythm late, and finally were able to get some points on the board, but it was just much too late for them to be able to do anything. So it's just unfortunate to see him go out this way. Questions about Big Ben. He seemed to throw the ball pretty well last night. Made a lot of mistakes, though, 4 interceptions. Hard to win a game when you throw that many interceptions. On the other side, the Browns, they capitalized. They took advantage. Early of the snap over Big Ben's head early in the game. They took advantage of that and was able to, recover for in the end zone for the touchdown. and then they just capitalize on the mistakes. So you got to give them credit. Good for them to get a playoff win. We'll see where they go from here. I don't expect a whole lot, but we'll see. So that's my thoughts from the weekend, guys. Just overall, just had a rough one. Just had the ball bounce in the wrong direction. Hoping for some better luck tonight in the national championship game. So we shall see, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your support. And we'll get them tonight in the national championship game. Thanks.